Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on ESTCP's FY 2027 funding opportunities. My name is Laura Mack, and I'll be your moderator today. We'll get started in just a moment, but while we're waiting for others to join, I'd like to go over a few quick logistics. Today's broadcast is listen only. We will have a Q&A session at the end of the presentation, and you can submit questions at any time using the Q&A box on the bottom of your screen. Please remember that we're not able to address questions about specific proposal ideas or individual technologies during this webinar. We'll prioritize questions that are broadly applicable to all potential submitters. And then both the audio and the slides from today's session will be archived on our solicitation webpage if you'd like to refer back to them later, and we will drop that link in the chat in just a few moments for easy access. So now I'd like to introduce today's speakers. We have Dr. Andrea Leeson, the Director of ESTCP. We have Lia Gaizick, the Deputy Director of ESTCP. Dr. Ramona Irie, the Environmental Restoration Program Manager. Dr. John Lascala, the Weapons Systems and Platforms Program Manager. And Kevin Hires, the Resource Conservation and Resilience Program Manager and the Natural Hazards Adaptation Program Manager. Before I turn it over to Andrea, I just want to, again, remind you all that you can submit questions at any time using the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. And with that, I will hand it over to Andrea.
So much, Laura. And thank you, everyone, for being here with us today. We hope we can get you some information about our solicitations that will be of use to you. Before we get into that, what I would like to talk about is to go through some of the background information about our two programs, and then we'll go into a little bit more detail about the thank you, Laura. You're going to fix this. Can you go back on the slides for me and just keep control? That would be great. And then we'll go through some of the topic areas. Next slide, please. So first, what I'd like to talk about is just our two programs. Right now, today, we'll be talking about the ESTCP solicitation, but I did want to mention our companion program first, which is SERDP, the Strategic Environmental Research and Development Program. SERDP is more of a traditional R&D program where we develop and incubate emerging technologies, working in partnership with the Military Services, Department of Energy, and the Environmental Protection Agency. And then as the technologies mature under SERDP, or sometimes it's the body of knowledge, this work matures into our companion program, ESTCP, which we'll be talking about today. And ESTCP was really developed to really bridge that so-called valley of death for the development of innovative technologies, so that we can take these technologies from proof of concept and put them into the field use or to broader adoption of the technologies. We work very closely with individual installations across the military services so that we can get these technologies out to actual operational conditions, so that we can reduce technical risks, costs, and ultimately the overall execution risk for these new technologies. Next slide. So we specifically fund research, demonstration, test, and evaluation projects to deliver value to the department's installations by enhancing our mission readiness, safeguarding military lands, driving cost savings, and then capturing those time savings as well. And as you can imagine, looking at these missions, this is pretty broad, and it reflects how we do business and how we operate the programs, and that we cover a lot of ground within the program areas. Next slide. We have 6 program areas in SERDP and ESTCP. 2 of the program areas are ESTCP only. The rest have both a SERDP and an ESTCP component. We have environmental restoration, where we are looking at tracking and tracing the spread of chemicals of concern across impacted installations. Currently, our primary focus has certainly been on PFAS, but we do address other chemicals of concern. Resource conservation is looking at protecting the over 28 million acres of natural infrastructure for testing and training operations, and this could be through mitigating wildfire, conserving endangered species, and containing invasive species threats. We also have weapons systems and platforms, where we secure access to critical systems and platforms, such as our aircraft, etc., and protect personnel by removing or mitigating chemicals of concerns from various military operations. Next slide. We also have our munitions response program, where we are looking at accelerating cost-effective detection, classification, and recovery of underwater unexploded ordnance. Our program manager, Mr. John Jackson, cannot be here today, but we will be covering the topic area that's been released under this program area later on in the presentation. We also have the installation, energy, and water program area, which is working towards enhancing resilience against disruptions to public energy and water infrastructure. Our program manager for this area, Mr. Keith Welch, is not here today. And you will notice in the solicitation, we do not currently have a topic area for installation, energy, and water, but that is coming a little later. So you will see a solicitation coming out later to address installation, energy, and water. And then finally, we also have natural hazards adaptation, where we are looking to develop technologies to assist in the identification and assessment of natural hazards that threaten installation infrastructure. Next slide. So we can fund many different sectors. We certainly fund researchers and technologists from the Department of War. This would include the DoW laboratories and organizations. And when you go on our website, you will see that there is a call for proposals for staff members who are from the DoW. We then have another call that is for other federal organizations outside of DoW. So this would, include, for example, any of the federal national laboratories and other federal entities. And then finally, our broad agency announcement, or we'll be referring to that as the BAA throughout. This is for any private sector organization, including universities, but also industry and other private sector organizations would respond to the BAA. Next slide. So the goals of our program, and this is reflected in the proposals that we select, is that we demonstrate innovative, cost-effective environmental and installation energy technologies. We look to capitalize on past investments and transition technology out of the lab so that we can look at it in closer to operational scale to really iron out the issues associated with cost and performance at a real scale. And then we also promote implementation. The goal of our program is that when we have successful demonstrations, we are getting that information out to the end users and the people who need that information. Ultimately, this helps us through promoting implementation through direct technology insertion. And also we work to gain regulatory acceptance of the different technologies. As we're going through the demonstration, we include the various regulatory agencies that need to be aware of the technology. Our absolute priority is the needs of the department's user community. Next slide. So with our demonstrations, what we are looking for is that the demonstration will benefit from a demonstration at a DoW installation, in that we will be able to collect information about the cost and performance of that technology. And that is a key portion of our demonstrations, is that the demonstration must be designed so as to be able to thoroughly evaluate and assess that cost and performance. And then ultimately, we'll utilize that information from the demonstration to accelerate commercialization and broader adoption of the technology. And so mature commercial technologies that are already in use or that have very well established operational cost and performance data are not appropriate for a demonstration validation under ESTCP. There should still be some remaining questions that will be answered by a demonstration that will ultimately accelerate commercialization. Next slide. So our methodology for our projects is that we do develop partnerships with the various end users. End users can be, I see that as a community where it would include regulatory partners, actual end users who would be using the technology or designing it on their installation, as well as the developer. And we get all of these folks together and talking. We validate the operational cost and performance. And I should say here too, this is very important in the proposals that we're looking that there is a very solid methodology for validating the cost and performance of the technology. And then we're also identifying the market opportunities through technology transfer. Next slide. We require formal demonstration plans, and I think most people in this field would be familiar with those, but we have pretty detailed guidance for those on our website with specific performance objectives are required, and we also have an independent review of those DEM plans. Ultimately, the execution of the technology demonstration comes next, where we collect that cost and performance data. We require a written final report that covers both the cost and the technical performance of the technology. And then ultimately, another key part of the project is that transition piece, which we do assist with in terms of helping the team to make the right connections. And also we want to see guidance and training coming out of the transition. Next slide. So this roughly shows you the timeline for our selection process, where we're developing the topic area late in the calendar year with the solicitation released in January. Pre-proposals are due in March, and I'll show you specific dates in a moment. And the pre-proposal is a 5-page white paper that is reviewed by ESTCP and the technical committee. That group of folks will then determine which pool proposals will be requested. So you must receive a request for a pool proposal in order to be able to submit one. Those go out, the requests for pool proposals go out in roughly June, and the pool proposals are due in August. We assign a DOW liaison to every proposal if it's not led by someone from DOW, and that's to assist with collecting site information if it's needed to help with creating a short list for sites or any other kind of information that someone might need if they are not from within the DOW. The pool proposals are 15 pages plus a cost proposal. We may ask for modifications on that as you're preparing the full proposal. We may provide comments on that. And then ultimately that will come in, be reviewed by ESTCP. And then if all looks well, we will ask you to give an in-person briefing in September to ESTCP staff as well as the ESTCP technical committee. That generally occurs in the Washington, D.C. area throughout the month of September. Final selections are based on that review process from TC, the PM recommendation, and ultimately director approval generally occurs in October. Next slide. So these are our solicitation dates. Solicitation was released January 8th with pre-proposals due March 12th. This is a hard deadline, so please have it in by 2 p.m. March 12th. If you wait till the last few minutes to submit, it can get more difficult if there are many people submitting at the same time, so please don't hesitate to get that in earlier in the day. Full proposal requests go out in June, with those proposals due July and August. Briefings occur, that's true. They could also occur late August. So August, September, the briefings will occur. You will be notified if early if you are selected to give that briefing. Project selection then October-ish, with project initiation in roughly spring 2027. Next slide. A selection criteria is provided online, but I'll cover this quickly. The very first thing we look at is the relevance, the pass-fail. We do look to see that the topic proposed fits within the areas we were looking at. And then the other pass-fail is that the topic is appropriate for demonstration, whether that is the technology should not be too mature. As I mentioned earlier, it should not be a commercial technology that's very well established, nor should it be too immature. We do not conduct, for example, bench scale research to further develop a technology under ESTCP. That would be more of a startup effort. Some bench scale work may be appropriate under ESTCP if it's very specific to, more of a treatability work for the specific site. But we're really looking at close to operational scale systems under ESTCP. Technical merit is by far the most important criteria that we assess, but then we also look at the cost benefit, transition potential, and cost. Next slide. So the hallmarks of a competitive proposal, number one is that it clearly addresses the topic area under which it was submitted. We do look at that carefully. We're looking for well-defined demonstration questions and that the proposed plan is technically sound. We're looking at the detailed technology descriptions, well-defined performance objectives. Every proposal should include your performance objectives and the metrics for how those will be assessed, and then that detailed technical approach. And we also finally looked at the technology will provide a significant benefit, that it's cost effective, it would result in improved performance, or it has some other sort of environmental or installation energy impact to the DOW mission. Next slide. Okay, so at this point, we're going to talk through some of the all of the ESTCP topics. I just want to remind you that, again, we don't have EW today, the installation energy and water topic, but that will be coming a little later under separate solicitation. I also wanted to mention that if you look at the topic areas, there will be a point of contact for each one. One of the program managers will be associated with each topic area. So if you have questions, feel free to reach out to them directly if we can't get to your question today. We are happy to answer any questions about the process. If something's not clear in the topic area, we can answer those kind of questions. What we cannot do is vet your idea. So if you are trying to ask if this is a good idea, does this meet your criteria, we can't answer that kind of question. You will just need to submit the pre-proposal to look at that. But, if you have questions about whether your idea is applicable to the topic area, I just encourage you to read that topic area carefully, read the objectives very carefully. If you don't understand one of the objectives, certainly reach out to the program manager and they can clarify. But that will get you very far down the road of being responsive to the topic area. Next slide. So the first topic area we'll talk about is of general interest to all the solicitations, both under the broad agency announcement, the BAA, the call for proposals for federal organizations outside DOW, as well as those for DOW organizations specifically. Next slide. And this topic area deals with the innovative technology transfer approaches. So this very specifically will be for proposals that are not proposing necessarily a technology to address an issue, but is providing an approach for transitioning technologies that have already been successfully demonstrated under ESTCP, or for mature bodies of knowledge that are appropriate for direct transfer that have been developed under CERTIF. And what we're looking at is that you're clear on the communities of interest that you're going to address with this approach, and that those target communities are likely to benefit from the approaches that are being proposed. So in the proposal, we'd want you to make clear why you're proposing this, what gap are you filling with this, and who are the various stakeholders that you're going to be reaching. And most importantly, we're looking for technology transfer approaches that are innovative. A very traditional report may not be sufficient anymore for a technology transfer approach. So please, think outside the box and really think about the stakeholders who need the information and how best to reach those different stakeholders. did want to mention too is that we are interested in that technology transfer approaches that consider how using artificial intelligence could assist with technology transfer is of interest as well. Next slide. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Ramona Irie to discuss the two topic areas outside of the environmental restoration program area.
Okay, thank you, Andrea. So under the environmental restoration pillar, this year we have two statements of needs. Next slide. So the first statement of need, titled Management of Impacted Soils and Waters, this is open to private industry, including universities, non-Department of War agencies like national labs, USGS, and so on. And under this statement of needs, we are looking for technologies. We're looking to demonstrate technologies or a combination of technologies that can increase Department of War's efficiency when managing sites with waters, soils, aquatic sediments impacted by chemicals of concern. And the chemicals of concern we're referring to, there's still a focus on PFAS, but we're also interested in other chemicals of concern as well. Most of the sites we're dealing with are complex sites. So we're looking for technologies or a combination of technologies that can address these complex sites. Some of these sites are being managed by active remediation technologies, and we're looking to transition these sites from active to more passive technologies. So we're looking for proposals that address that. We're looking for cost-effective modeling tools as well that can help us manage chemical source zones that tend to create persistent groundwater plumes. And we're also looking for these models that can help us manage and treat soil and groundwater impacted by these chemicals of concerns. We're interested in the long-term monitoring at these sites, monitoring of both the chemicals and also the biogeochemical indicators in soil sediments and water. So technologies and also approaches that can help us do long-term monitoring at these sites. And as mentioned previously, we have included a new bullet under these statements of needs. We'd like you guys to show us how you can use AI to really help us manage these sites better. Now, this you won't be judged on this, so if you choose not to include AI, that's okay. But we're just interested in how can we use AI to improve these technologies and manage these sites better. Next slide. So our second statement of need, that one is open to Department of War only. And similar to the previous statement of need, we're looking for technologies and combinations of technologies to manage these sites where there's waters, soils, and aquatic sediments impacted by chemicals. And again, there is a focus on PFAS, but we're also interested in other chemicals. And what we're interested in, again, it's monitoring. We want to be able to monitor both the chemicals and also the biogeochemical indicators at the site. We're looking for approaches to reduce the cost to complete, reduce the life cycle costs of managing these sites. Then there's munitions constituents. We'd like to reduce the source loading of munitions constituents during routine DOW operations and demilitarization activities. So proposals that address this, we're definitely interested in. And then wastewater treatment facilities on the site, on DOW installations. We'd like proposals that address technologies to help decentralize this treatment and also recycle of wastewater on these installations. And then lastly, we're interested in risk assessment. We really want to continue understanding and better understanding how these chemicals of concern affect human and ecological systems. So we want to be able to better assess and predict this. And also under this statement of need, we are interested in seeing how we can use AI to meet these different criteria. So we encourage you guys to think about this and also include it in your proposal. So now I'll turn it back over to Andrea to discuss the other statement of need.
All right, thank you, Ramona. Next slide. As I said, our program manager for munitions response could not be here today, so I will cover his topic area, but I'm sure not as well as he would have covered it himself. Next slide, please. So definitely, if you have questions about this topic area, do not hesitate to reach out to John Jackson. His contact information is available in the topic area. But under this topic area, what we're of particular interest is demonstration of various munitions response technologies for underwater environments at live and test sites. And we're looking at demonstrating and validating UXO detection, classification, and localization systems. We're also interested in wide area and or detailed survey technologies for these locations. We do have potential live sites that are listed here that would be used as demonstration sites. So if you are not connected with DOW or a particular site, please do not worry about that. We will connect you with the appropriate sites at which these technologies can be conducted. And there's additional information on these issues within the topic area. Next slide. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Kevin Hires, and he is going to talk about the natural hazards adaptation topic area.
Great. Thank you, Andrea. Quick sound check.
Yep, sounds good.
Fantastic. Welcome this afternoon. And for the natural hazards adaptation program area, we have two topics that we've released for proposals. Each of them welcomes proposals from all forms of applicants, including the academic and industrial sector, federal organizations, and Department of War organizations for R&D. Next slide. Our first topic under this program area is going to be looking for tools and technologies that advance severe weather prediction, specifically those that demonstrate severe weather prediction for strategic, operational, or installation planning at Department of War relevant spatial scales for time horizons of near-term to subseasonal to seasonal time scales. Such technologies or tools may include compound severe weather events and potential impacts to personnel and DoD installation infrastructure on those subseasonal to seasonal timescales, snowpack measurements and prediction, extreme precipitation impacts on airfields, or boundary layer characteristics, including turbulent structures, fog, aerosols, wildfire smoke, and visibility as examples. Next slide. The second topic area under natural hazards adaptation is going to be focused on maintaining mission continuity when compound natural hazards impact complex systems. Looking for two types of pre-proposals. First, addressing practical and actionable outputs from multi-sector dynamic modeling, such as the following. Risk assessments built on competing hypotheses of how compound hazards may unfold, ranges of plausible scenarios for use in scenario game training, identification of critical data gaps and uncertainties that constrain robust analyses using these multi-sector dynamic modeling tools. Second class of technologies we're looking for is prototype methods that reveal interdependencies upon critical systems and stimulate cascading iterative impacts arising from multi-intersecting hazards. Specifically, those that apply and validate multi-hazard analyses and modeling frameworks suitable for assessing compound threats with clear uncertainties, estimates, and case study usability. Also evaluating system failure and interdependencies under different hazard interaction scenarios. Next slide. So for my other program area, resource conservation and resilience, we also are looking forward to taking pre-proposals from all three categories under the BAA, outside federal organizations and internal DOW organizations. Next slide. We have two topic areas again. The first is advancing live fuel moisture estimation and forecasting for military applications. We are looking for pre-proposals to demonstrate tools, frameworks, and approaches that provide rapid estimation and forecasting of the fuel moisture content of live herbaceous and or woody fuel for wildland fire applications in and around Department of War installations. Specifically looking to integrate and validate satellite-based products with weather climate data sets, as well as in situ live fuel moisture measurements through innovative modeling and or machine learning approaches. want to demonstrate frameworks for calibrating, validating, and disseminating rapid refresh live fuel moisture products, and demonstrate improved remote sensing and or modeling estimates and forecasts of live fuel moisture content, and link and relate high spatial and temporal resolution predictions of live fuel moisture content to other multi-scale spatial patterns and temporal trends and environmental variables for veg types found on DOW lands. Next slide. The second topic under the Resource Conservation and Resilience Program area is looking for frameworks for multi-jurisdictional management of natural resources to support Department of War mission and operations. Specifically, we want projects to demonstrate and validate methodologies and or frameworks that enable coordination of natural resource management, including threat and endangered species management across multiple jurisdictions to support the Department of War missions and operations and improve efficiency of management of those species. Specifically, we want projects that analyze case studies where multi-jurisdictional natural resource collaborations have been attempted in key DOW geographies. Those projects that develop workable frameworks that support multi-jurisdictional coordination and include ecological, legal, and operational considerations. And those projects that define qualitative and quantitative measures of success for these multi-jurisdictional management efforts. And lastly, projects that define translational and transitional steps needed to gain Department of War end-user confidence and acceptance. Next slide. And for our weapon systems and platforms area, I'll turn it over to my colleague, Dr. John Lascala.
Thank you, Kevin. So I'll be talking about the various topics that we have. Let's go to the next slide, please. So the first topic, this is a BAA topic eligible for outside of the DoD, but also those within the Department of War are also able to propose to this within the Department of War topic area, which I'll get to in a few slides. This first particular area is focused on alternative cleaning methods and solvents for weapon systems and platforms maintenance activities. Basically, we're looking for alternative cleaning methods and alternative solvents that can be used in the maintenance cycle of our assets. That includes cleaning and surface preparation and application and removal of adhesives, sealants, and coatings. And we're looking for the use of solvents that are not restricted by TSCA or not being evaluated for restrictions under TSCA. And in general, we need these solvents, if you're focused on the solvent aspect of this this topic area, that the solvent should be safe to use, which means they should have relatively low flammability so that they can be used in industrial type settings, and ideally not contain hazardous air pollutants, have low VOCs, and have low health risks, so that they again can be utilized by the workers there with minimal PPE to reduce any deleterious effects. And yeah, so let's go to the next slide. The next topic area is focused on demonstration and validation of corrosion mitigation solutions in remote and contested logistics locations. Basically, we're looking for good corrosion mitigation solutions that can be used at locations that basically these assets that are there can't be maintained to the degree that they could if they were CONUS or in particularly busy locations of CONUS where things can be transported more readily. So a lot of times these assets can be in a state of disrepair, which reduces their functionality and performance. So the goal is to have corrosion mitigation solutions to improve the lifetime of these particular parts and aspects of platforms or systems that are out there, and make them more effective and reduce the logistics of the maintenance cycle, which is difficult in those locations. One area that we're also looking for related to this could be additive manufacturing solutions or 3D printing solutions to replace various parts for a time being, for a significant time being, rather than shipping the entire part or system for repair and replacement, which can often lead to a loss of use for a period of time at those contested logistics locations, which is a problem. Next slide, please. The third topic area is focused on prototype alternative technologies for demilitarization of energetics. Here we're looking for prototype systems for closed destruction technology, or CDT, of energetics and munitions for demilitarization. Basically, we're looking at alternatives to open burn and open detonation. These need to be closed systems, as mentioned, closed destruction technologies, so that all the emissions from these, from whatever process, is captured and treated and dealt with properly in terms of waste and is not sent out into the environment. Of course, like the other topic areas, we need to have technologies that are not going to use dangerous materials, dangerous chemicals. It needs to be something that's going to be a safe operation, so that this can be energetically treated as safe. It's not going to have an explosion risk associated with it. And as kind of mentioned, we don't want to use TSCA restricted chemicals and or those that potentially will be TSCA restricted. Next slide. So this next topic area focuses on the Department of War only topics. So this is for weapon systems and platforms, and it's generally basically really most of the platform areas can use assistance in terms of new technologies. So one of the key areas that we're focused on there is repair and maintenance, talking about alternative chemicals and materials, alternative processes, alternative inspection methodologies, and monitoring of control emissions. Another topic area is energetics, talking about demilitarization, development of new energetic formulations and new processes to make existing energetics in an effective way. Refrigeration technologies are of interest, firefighting technologies, so fluorine-free foams that with improved performance, those that can handle saltwater dilution are of definite need as well. We're also looking at addressing critical minerals needs, so alternative ways for recycling our critical minerals that we use in the Department of War, and alternatives to critical minerals so we can reduce our need for use of critical minerals is certainly of interest. Of course, these need to be field ready to be demonstrated and validated. And then there are a variety of others that we can also imagine being of interest as well. And the three previous topic areas that I discussed, alternative cleaning methods for solvents and demonstration, validation, corrosion mitigation solutions, and prototype technologies for demilitarization, are also applicable for our Department of War colleagues to apply to. And with that, I'll hand it back to Dr. Leeson to wrap up the webinar.
Great. Thank you, John, so much. Very sorry. We've ended here on our slide for the workshop, and just would like to encourage you, if you want to hear more about our program, absolutely attend this workshop coming up in March. It is truly the best place to see everything that we do. So at this point, I'm going to ask Lara to come back and we will get into our Q&A session.
All right. Sorry, give me one moment to pull up the questions. Okay. So this first question is for Andrea. Does full teaming information need to be provided for the pre-proposal?
Not necessarily. We do understand that some details of some teaming agreements may not be possible at the pre-proposal stage. So I would suggest at the pre-proposal stage, if you at least provide some information about the plans in that regards, that will absolutely help us. Please also note that with the pre-proposal, there is no formal cost section of the pre-proposal. We just ask for the big figures, how much in each year, and then total. There's no breakdown involved at that point. So it is possible that if you don't just have the cost proposals from with your partners, then it would not be needed at stage. We are just asking for a good estimate.
And this is another question for you, Andrea. Can international collaborators or sub-awardees be included on ESTCP project proposals?
They can, and we had a few questions that dealt with some aspect of international proposers. We do have the capability to fund people outside the United States, so that is certainly possible.
This question is for Kevin. Could you provide guidance on effective strategies for identifying and engaging the appropriate Department of War contacts or prime contractors for this topic?
So there are a number of strategies that performers use to identify those targeted end user communities within the department. Depending on the topic, some of the natural resource partnerships that exist across our programs at the Office of Secretary of War, including REPI, the Readiness Environmental Protection Initiative, Sentinel Landscape Program, our own Innovation Landscape Network, and some of those links will be dropped into the chat. For the natural hazards program area, it's a little more diverse group of stakeholders and organizations. And for that reason, I just want to emphasize the point that Dr. Leeson made in the webinar that though you may have a target audience that you think is appropriate for your technology demonstration, we can assign you a technical committee liaison that will help you find that end user community where we define that technology of interest. And so that process of getting to the DOW end user community can be multi-staged as well as your process, as each pre-proposal is reviewed and moved to the next stage.
This question is for Andrea. Which call for proposals should a person from a Department of Energy national lab submit to?
The national labs can submit to the federal agencies outside the DOW.
Okay, this is another question for Andrea. It seems like the description of requirements under the innovative technology transfer approaches topic area could apply to any of the program areas. How could I decide if a technology I'm proposing would be better submitted under the relevant topic area in this solicitation versus the technology transfer topic?
You're correct that technology transfer topic area is intended to be cross-cutting across all program areas. If you're proposing a technology transfer approach that's very specific to a topic that one of the topic areas covers, I'd suggest you put it within that topic area. However, the truth is we would catch it. If it came in under technology transfer or the topic area, we would catch it. For the proposals that come under the technology transfer topic area, we review them all there, but they will get assigned out to the program area that is most applicable to that topic.
This question is for John. For the refrigeration, alternative materials, and alternative processes topic, does this include alternative recycling of refrigerants?
Recycling of refrigerants? I don't remember that being a part of the question, but if it is, I wouldn't say recycling is a particular concern or issue. It's really more leakage that tends to be the loss of refrigerants. So, but if we're somehow taking refrigerants and improving them and making them useful again for DOW applications, perhaps if there's a critical need for that, but I would say that's not really where we're going with this area. Over.
This question is for Kevin. For the multi-jurisdictional Department of War site management of natural resources topic, is the scope intended to be domestic only, or are international installations considered responsive?
Fund both domestically and OCOMS installation requirements. So we would welcome pre-proposals both inside the continental United States and internationally, where we have installations participating in those multi-jurisdictional conservation efforts.
This question is for Andrea. What are the pros and cons of having proposals submitted by Department of War versus having industry submit themselves?
Typically, and John Lascala, I'm going to turn this to you in a second as well, just to give you a heads up. I would say typically it doesn't matter too much whether it's led by a DOW staff person versus a private entity. What we're looking for is what makes the most sense technically, in terms of who should lead the project. John, I might ask you to chime in. I think sometimes you do have some projects where it's very clearly needs to be with the DOW.
Yeah, I certainly concur on what you just said there, Dr. Leeson, in terms of that. I would say there are a couple of occasions where some particular things where the DOW is the key stakeholder, really needs to do and run the work associated with it, or it might be very important for them to take a significant lead activity in terms of things, especially if they have to coordinate a lot of the activities to make sure things will be tested appropriately. The area of energetics can certainly be one of those cases. I'd say that's where you really fall into a lot of that. But many of the other areas, especially if you're very well connected to OEMs that develop and provide material and parts for these particular applications, I think it would be very relevant for companies or other groups to lead. Over.
All right, on to our next question. This is for Kevin. Does the Natural Hazards Adaptation Program area support large-scale multi-institutional efforts with significant funding requirements, or is the focus currently on smaller teams with modest budgets?
We have a multitude of sizes and project teams. We do emphasize the need to speedily demonstrate and evaluate technology for the purpose and with the user-defined metrics. So with respect to overall project size, we can support large multi institutional efforts, but we emphasize as a program the need to move very quickly in our demonstration and evaluation program.
Okay, this is a general question for Andrea. Is there a limit on the number of proposals an applicant can submit for this opportunity?
No, and I do want to say we've had this question asked in a number of different ways. We don't put a limit on that. That really would be a workload issue for the organization or the investigator. It's certainly, if you get asked to do a full proposal, that's a significant amount of effort, and to be able to do the best job possible, you may want to limit yourself. Related to that, a number of people have asked about limitations on funding levels, limitations on number of co-performers, etc. We really don't put limitations on those sorts of things. We expect you to propose the best team that you need to really address your performance objectives. That's the same for the cost. We expect you to propose the cost that's needed to meet your performance objectives. We scrutinize the costs. So, certainly we are not a program that funds $100 million projects. You need to bring that down some, but it is something that we look at carefully without, necessarily setting hard limits on that.
Another question for you, Andrea. What does Department of War only topic mean? Can private industry submit proposals, or is it open to Department of War labs only?
It means that it is only open to proposals that are led by someone from DOW. It doesn't mean that you cannot be on the team where it's being led from someone with DOW, but it does have to be led by someone within DOW to address those DOW only topics.
This question is for John. For the chemical cleaning related proposals, do you encourage robotic automation systems that are coupled with AI for use?
That's a good question. I would say AI and ML can be utilized if there's an existing body of knowledge that is known, and in particular known to the DOW partners that are involved in the project. I do not really recommend figuring out and identifying all the data to create a database to enable AI within one of these projects. There are a lot of logistical hurdles associated with that, various intelligence aspects that are problematic. Over.
This question is for Andrea. For the innovative technology transfer approaches topic, is there a list of ESTCP demonstrated or sort of developed technologies or teams available?
We don't have a list per se. However, if you do go to our website and you look under, there's a number of ways to look under it. You could look under project directory. You can access the area where we list our focus areas of interest, and perhaps someone from the team could drop some links directly to those areas. We put a project overview webpage for every project we fund. You will be able to find information up there. I would say that's true for 99.999% of the projects. So you will be able to see the different projects that we've funded over the years.
This question is for Kevin. Is adding the target community for demonstration required?
If this is in reference to the jurisdictional resource conservation program, I really encourage those target in-user communities to be engaged at all stages of the pre-proposal and proposal process. For other topics that we released, the degree of involvement may be less, but certainly for the multi-jurisdictional topic, I would encourage those pre-proposal submissions to engage with those end-user teams or end-user communities.
And another question for you, Kevin. Does ESTCP expect proposals to include the development of a serious game interfaces as part of the demonstration?
We don't expect it, but we did explicitly offer that as potential transition plan outlet under our call or our topics under natural hazards, because given the complexity of some of those multi-sector dynamics tools, as well as the cascading failure, the science of cascading failures, gaming may end up being one of the potential translational or transitional planning tools that we did want to encourage. Again, not required, but certainly we've called that out in the topic.
This question is for John. What is the interest in new RDX production methods or RDX replacement with equal energy materials that are less environmentally harmful?
I'd say it's relevant. There is definitely there can be advantages in terms of that. We have a statement of need in CERTIP right now that has a focus towards that. So certainly if there are technologies that are ready for demonstration validation in that area for RDX, which is focused on alternative nitration methodologies, we would certainly be consider that relevant. Over.
This question is for Andrea. Approximately what percentage of pre-proposals will be encouraged for full proposals, and what percentage of full proposals will be selected for awards?
It is very difficult for us to tell you what percentage of pre-proposals from there will be requested to submit full proposals. We don't really have that number. It's what we really focus on is technical quality, and we try to get back full proposals on all the highest quality proposals. So that number is hard to come up with. I will say that at the full proposal stage, though, we do try to limit the number of proposals that come back so that you folks roughly by the time you get to that stage, roughly you might have about a 50% chance of award, because we are looking at our budget, et cetera, so that we don't bring in too many people and then we have a very low amount of projects we can fund. But this is all rough numbers. We don't have fixed numbers for that in advance.
Another question for you, Andrea. For the management of impacted soils and waters topic, should the proposed technology be located at DOW facilities only, or can it be located at other types of sites, such as an Air Force base? If it has to be a DOW site, how can we be connected to the site?
So DOW will represent all the services, including Air Force, Army, Navy, et cetera. So when we have a demonstration, what we're looking for are sites on DOW locations, or at least at sites where the DoD has substantial responsibility for that site. We do not, particularly for folks from universities, we do not expect you to have those contacts yet to be able to identify those sites. So we will connect you with a DOW liaison who will be there to function as the person who is providing you with information on potential sites for your technology demonstration. So when you're going from we assign that liaison if we ask you to submit a full proposal. So at that stage, from going from pre-proposal to full proposal, you'll want to be developing a short list of potential sites with your liaison. It does not have to be necessarily selected at the time you prepare your full proposal and submit it, but at least you should have a short list. So that's what they function as.
This question is for Kevin. Could you please give a few examples as what a demonstration for the natural hazards ESTCP call would be?
This particular call, I'm going to only be able to reference the details provided cited in the lease topic. But in past efforts, thinking more generally in things that we have funded, a successful demonstration might be similar to what we've seen on our fire model validation efforts, where we looked at statistically valid acquisition of fire radiative power in situ at burns at Fort Stewart, and that they were validated against the next generation couple of firemen's modeling tool, QuickFire. Similarly, the same data were used to validate NASA sensors, both airborne and space-based, for multispectral and hyperspectral acquisitions. And so those are the kinds of natural hazards demonstrations and validation examples that we might expect from teams for models and having real world applications. Those the exact nature of the demonstration and validation criteria are left up to the proposers, and they will be reviewed at every stage. And so thinking through very carefully about how your tool, your technology, your model, as you are maturing the technology readiness level, what are those criteria, and how do you communicate that to the technical committee is going to be a very important part of the process.
This question is for Andrea. If a pre-proposal has topics that overlap with many topic areas, how is it advised that a potential applicant reach out to the point of contact to discern the most appropriate topic areas to be submitted under? Did I understand Andrea correctly that when she suggested submissions may be routed to a different topic area reviewers after submission?
Yes, that sounds right. And Laura, before I go into that, I'm going to suggest this be our last question since we're almost at the end of time. But so there are certainly times when you may have a topic that spans multiple topic areas, and we would recommend that you'll have to choose one. Our online database limits you to choosing one. We would probably the most appropriate thing is to go ahead and submit it to the topic area you think is most relevant. We will move a proposal to a different topic area if, sometimes they're submitted incorrectly, but sometimes we would think it's just more applicable elsewhere. So you don't have to worry about that excessively. I also think asking that in advance, you could be skirting the line about asking for information on the technical content of your pre-proposal, and it might be, you should avoid that. So perhaps just submit it, and if it's not clear, we can adjust it after submittal.
Okay, and with that being our final question, I just wanted to let you all know of two final reminders. One, that this will be uploaded, the slides and the recording of today's presentation will be uploaded to the Certif ESTCP website. If you'd like to refer to that later, we'll send out that link. And then if you had any questions that were specific to a topic area, please feel free to reach out to the appropriate program manager. That was part of today's discussion. And that includes today's webinar. Thank you all for joining us today.
Thank you.